The improvements in XML from SQL 2005 and 2008 are extended because of the XML data type. Here we have a SQL database and an XML stream. You can bind these in real time. In other words, you can take a SQL table and join it to an XML stream and produce a brand new result set. One reason you might want to do this is you want a new result set in a tabular form. In other words, a query or a table-looking result. In this case, we take the music type table and join it to the XML details, and since each title element is repeated many times for the corresponding music type, you get an enhanced result set. Here, you see the XML has 2 country songs for 1 country joined in the table, producing 2 records. There's 1 soul song and 3 rock and roll songs. Therefore, each join produces the same number of records as title elements listed in the corresponding XML data. You can also combine SQL and XML in the same manner to produce an XML result set of the exact same data. In this case, we are binding SQL to XML to produce an XML result set. This is what we're going to learn in this chapter. Let's look at all of the records of the music history table. Thanks to the most recent reset script, you'll notice that all 3 records are populated with XML data. Let's click the first one, the country one. It looks like we have 2 songs listed, title ID 11109 and 11110. Okay, let's close out of there. Now, let's look at the rock songs. There's the familiar ones, Red Red Wine, Manic Monday, and Pretty Woman. Okay, let's close out of there. Let's focus on just the rock genre music by isolating music type ID number 3. Okay, there it is. Now what we want to do is we want to pull out song number 3, rock, and we want to pull out 13159, 13160, and 13161. How do we join this field to these fields? Well, let's do it step by step. Let's start off by pulling out the title ID attribute. Let's do a cross apply to the music details field, and we have to pick the nodes we want. Now, at the title ID level, you have to go to music/song. Now, since this is acting as its own table, it needs to be aliased. Let's alias it as song TBL, and let's call that field song details. As title elements listed in the corresponding XML data. And since each title element is repeated many times for the corresponding music type, you will find multiple records will come out for music type 3. This is based on what's listed in the XML at that level. You can also combine SQL and XML at a certain level and pull out whichever one you want. In fact, this X query will give you 3 XML fragments for the rock music. Each fragment is representing a song. Therefore, this X path is going to give you 3 records. Each song record will have a title ID column, a writer name column, a title column, and a singer column as direct children of the music song level. Our cross apply works similarly. This level is applied to this table, which means it gets 3 records. But since there's 4 fields in each record, which field does song details mean? The answer is the song details is any field you want it to be. You put it in the select list and then choose which one of those fields of the song details collection you want to pull out. So what exactly is this table? Well, it's simply an alias for this level, which has 3 records. Now let's get back to our code example. And let's change our field select list so we're grabbing the song details and we're going to grab just the value. We know there's multiple fields in song details, but what we want is an attribute. It's called title ID. So let's specify @title ID. Now, as you remember with the values method, you need to specify a data type. So let's specify that that is an integer. Let's go ahead and run this. Notice we get 13159, 13160, and 13161. Let's pull out another field. Let's pull out the song details, values, and we're going to pull out the writer name, and just the first writer of that song. Now let's specify that that is a varchar max. And let's run that. Now we can see who wrote this first song, who wrote the second, and the third. So far, this query has just pulled out data from the XML side. And I said we're going to join it to the table with a cross apply, and we've done that. So let's go ahead and pull out one of the fields of the table. Let's say music type ID, comma, and then run it. And notice it's music type 3 because we predicated on music type 3. Now, let's take a moment to alias this last field. Notice none of these fields have names. So let's call this title ID and run it. There we go. Now, let's take off the criteria and let's look at all the records. Excellent. At the first part of this video, I said you could join an XML stream to a table. And here you see cross-apply, and you see no on clause. What is cross-apply? You may remember from Book 2 that cross-apply is a way to join two dissimilar result sets. For example, we had a table and a table-valued function back in Book 2, and we were able to apply them together through this means, which acts similar to a join. Now here, when we run this, we get a total of 6 records. However, if we didn't do the join, we go back to this query from the table, we get 3 records. Now here's one thing that SQL knows for sure. This table has 3 records. But if we were to take record number 1 and go to this third field, this third field is acting like another table. Does it have 1 record in this table, 2, 3, 10? It doesn't know until you give it the row pattern. Now, let's click on it. At the song level, we have 1, 2. So there's 2 country songs for record number 1. Okay, so there are 2 records in this one XML stream. How about this next one? It looks like it has only 1 song. And music type 3, it has 3 songs. Now, knowing that everything in this first XML is related to country, it knows that because it's in the same record of the parent table. Soul, it knows that this record is related. Rock, it knows that these 3 records over here are related. So if we have 2 records in this XML related to music type 1, and 1 record in this XML related to music type 2, and 3 records in this XML related to music type 3, we should get 6 records. By cross-applying this table to this XML, which is acting like a table, we get a total of 6 records. And it knows that these 2 songs are related to music type 1. It knows there was only 1 song in music type 2, and there was 3 songs in music type 3. So basically, this XML stream was turned into a tabular result. In other words, this XML stream and a tabular result looks like this. Here's 2 records. So music type 1 is repeated twice. Number 2, it's listed only once. Since we turned the XML into 3 records, and those 3 records are related to music type 3, you see these 3 records. The association between music type 3 and these 3 records occurs because This is all in the same parent record of the table that housed the XML. Time for Lab 7.1, Skill Check 1. Continue building on your code from the last section and expand it to pull in the title field. Make sure all fields are aliased as you see below.